Let us begin with the entry psychology reset. This is going to help you train your mind and to get into the right frame of mind to get successful with your entries. So, we're going to go into three aspects of it. Number one, why overtrading happens when entries are unclear, because overtrading is a real thing. I'm going to share my story with you. Calm confidence through a repeatable model. And number three, waiting versus chasing, to get into this mindset shift to help you understand where you're at when you're trading and what's the best state of mind to be in. So, number one, why overtrading happens when entries are unclear. So, when I first started trading, I used to take like 10 or 10, 20 trades a day, not even joking. And I would win maybe 2 to 4 out of those trades. I was trading from a sense of urgency. I was always feeling rushed when I was trading, but I was never really clear on my setup or my entry model. I was just trading randomly based on candles. If I saw a big green candle, I'll buy, a big red candle, sell. And it was just kind of, it was chaotic and I was all over the show. I was just kind of just looking for a trade. There was no calculated planning involved at all. I was very emotional, very impatient, and it led me into making a lot of bad trades. And I think this is something that when every new trader starts, they start out like this. And the more they trade, the more losses they take, the more they get humbled, the more patient they become through that process. So the emotional chaotic mind, this is how I started out. Very chaotic mind. When your mind is not clear and there's chaos and you're feeling rushed and you're feeling impatient, it's impossible to see good setups. It's impossible to take good trades. It's impossible to wait patiently for a good setup to come to you. So if you've got this poor entry logic, which is based on this chaotic mindset, it's going to create emotional chaos, which is going to lead to overtrading or bad trading decisions. So it always starts in your mind. Is your mind clear when you're trading? And how are you perceiving the markets? How you're perceiving your strategy is going to play a massive role in that. So the reasons this can happen, the biggest reason is having lack of entry clarity or setup clarity, which can lead to doubt, hesitation, then FOMO, revenge trading. Also, if your charts feel like noise, if your charts are messy and you don't have a proper system in place, this can also happen. If you're operating off hopium, which occurs when you've got these false setups, no repeatable system, no system you can actually trust. So a lot of these things stem from not having confidence in your system or in your trading style. And that confidence gets exerted out because it's trading is like a mirror. Whatever's going on inside of you is what you're going to see in the charts. So it's important for you to have a very clear mirror within yourself, within your mental capital, and how you perceive the charts as well. So some of this is basically my old system and my new system. So when I first started trading, I was feeling rushed when I was trading. I was chaotic mind, which means I was just jumping from strategy to strategy, restless, no solid plan. Gambling mentality, I would just buy and sell and buy and sell. I would just enter a trade randomly. It's crazy, actually, if I think back on how I used to trade. I was trading multiple different setups, lots of trades, jumping. And after refining, after years of loss and being humbled and really just, the more you trade and the more you lose, I think the more you refine your ability of how you trade and what kind of trader you become. But after that, now I'm more calm when I trade. When I started trading, I would sweat in a trade. If I was in a trade, I would literally be sweating. But now I feel very relaxed in trades. I feel calm, calculated. I have a solid plan. I'm more of trading mentality, no more gambling mentality. I have a clean chart. I have one entry setup. I trade much, much less. Now I will maybe do like 2, 3, or 4 trades a week, whereas before I would do minimum 10 trades a day. And now I follow one strategy. So you can see the shift, from so much busyness to clarity, organization, and having a proper system in place. So the key to your success in trading really is less is more. Really, like I have a very good friend who's a very very good trader, and for the last 5 years he's been trading the same way, the same setup. His chart looks exactly the same. If you look at how he trades now, nothing's changed. He's still doing the exact same thing he was doing 5 years ago. Nothing has changed at all. He's keeping it super simple. Less is really more. So the number one entry model is the key. Having a one entry model is the key. See, one entry model practice over and over again will keep your mind clear, relaxed, which is the most important when trading, is relaxed mental state of mind. This is going to be the biggest thing you can achieve as a trader, is being relaxed mental state of mind when you're trading, because whatever you are, whatever's going on internally within you is going to be projected in what you perceive within the charts. So if you can establish this clarity, this mental clarity, you're going to be clear when you come to the charts. Everything's going to be easy to see. You're going to be able to see your setup. It's all just going to make so much more sense. So a big thing, a lot of people struggle with over trading, and it was a massive thing for me. I was just trading and trading, and if I lost a trade, I would trade some more to make up for that trade. And I was just thinking, the more I trade, the more I'm going to figure this out. But here's some questions. If you guys do struggle with over trading, I'm not sure if you guys do, or some of you might, some of you might not. But here's some trigger questions you can ask yourself. How often do you take a trade you didn't plan? This is very important. Do you trust your setup model? If you don't have confidence in your model, in your strategy, it's going to lead to you getting into bad trades. How do you feel during your trade? So when you're in a trade, how do you feel? And how do you feel after each trade? So these are just very simple clarity questions, but they can give you a lot of insight into your emotional state and into your psychological state when you're trading and after you're trading and before you get into a trade. So there's the before you get into a trade, there's the when you're in a trade, and then after you trade. Those are three aspects that you can really get deeper insight if you ask yourself these questions. So the key is to have this setup clarity, emotion check, post trade review. A lot of people, when I first started, I was just trading, and I never really even asked myself any of these questions. And these are the kind of questions that I wish I actually had back then, because I probably would have lost a lot less, and I would have changed my style of trading much quicker. I wouldn't have, stuck. It took me 2 years of being stuck in this loop of just losing, trading. And I think if I had these questions earlier, it would have changed a lot for me. So some questions, here's a checklist you can ask yourself as well. Is this a clear entry? Have I analyzed the higher time frame bias correctly? Do I have confirmation or just guessing or chasing? Are you following your one solid system? Is price at a key level? Is there a failure to displace? Is there a CISD break? Is there displacement? So I used to have all these notes on the wall. I used to put all my strategy on the wall, and I have this little checklist. And every time I'd get into a trade, I would actually check off the list. I know this list so well in my mind right now. So whenever I get into a trade, it just kind of happens very mentally for me. But in the beginning, it was important to have a checklist. So every time you get into a trade, you can mark out, does it have, what is the higher time frame bias? Because you'll be so amazed how many times certain parts of the strategy just get forgotten when you're in a trade and there's emotions, or there's FOMO, or there's any kind of emotions you're in when you're trading. You'll just forget a piece of the strategy. Like I remember I had the strategy in place, and I would still enter a trade and I wouldn't follow the strategy, I wouldn't follow the rules correctly. And then afterwards I would review the trade and I'd be like, why didn't I follow step number one? I just completely let that go out the window. So it is very critical to just make sure there's not a lot of steps to follow, but to just check, have you checked all the steps? Have you checked step 1, 2, 3? And then make sure you check the boxes and make sure that you're following the strategy correctly.